A lot of us grew up on the fantastic story that is Naruto. Some of us may have discovered it later on. Regardless, we can agree that it's a story worthy of shaping some of our lives and the ideals that we carry. There's plenty of channels here on YouTube that are dedicated to breaking down every aspect of this story. The question I pose is, how much do you actually know about the mangaka behind one of the most famous mangas, hailed with the title of one of the big three, Masashi Kishimoto? Born on November 8, 1974 in Okayama Prefecture, Kishimoto and his twin brother, Saishi Kishimoto, grew up listening to their grandfather's stories of war, something that we see a huge influence of in Naruto itself, as a lot of it pertains to war and the grudges that it brings. At a young age, Kishimoto found himself interested in drawing anime characters, for he himself was a huge fan of anime. Spending hours in front of the TV watching Dragon Ball with his brother was one of his favorite pastimes. As a side note though, I highly recommend going to read through his author notes from Naruto. While giving more insight into his life, it's also like a time capsule for everything from the early 2000s, and it hits you really hard with nostalgia. By the time Kishimoto made it to high school, he started to lose interest in anime, paying more attention to baseball and basketball. Baseball, of course, being a very popular sport in Japan, mixed with a now teenage boy, it's really no surprise his interest started to shift. That was all until he discovered Akira. So not only is Akira responsible for so many storytelling tropes, and that one motorcycle scene we see repeated over and over again, you know the one I'm talking about. It's also responsible for reigniting the spark within Masashi Kishimoto, leading him to eventually making Naruto. He found so much inspiration in Akira that he wanted to replicate Katsuhiro Otomo's style. Kishimoto entered an art college in order to further improve his skills with hopes of one day becoming a manga artist, eventually meeting the designer for the anime adaptation of the manga Ninku, Tetsuya Nishio, which he has noted as being a big influence for him moving forward from that point. And just like most artists will tell you, finding your own style is just mashing up multiple styles until you have something new. And that is exactly what Kishimoto did. With his career starting, he had a lot of attempts, some that made it, some that flopped, some that never really made it anywhere. For that reason, I'll be skipping over most of the drafts that never made it to publishing. In 1995, Kishimoto's first successful manga pilot, Karakuri, was submitted to Shueisha, where he earned his first honorable mention in Shueisha's monthly Hopstep Award. If you've been here a minute, that may sound familiar, and that's because in my video on the history of Yoshihiro Togashi, I mentioned that he was also an honorable mention with his title Juro no Mizuki, something given to promising rookie manga artists. With that, he was assigned his first editor, Kosuke Yahagi. These two proceeded to work on many unfinished and rejected drafts. Kishimoto's next title to be published was actually a one-shot version of Naruto in 1997 to Akamaru Jump Summer, 2 whole years before the actual premiere of Naruto in Weekly Shonen Jump. Although after the one-shot was released, Karakuri came back to be serialized, but unfortunately failed rather quickly. A few more attempts were made before Kishimoto and Yahagi eventually decided on submitting a revised version of Naruto in an attempt at getting it serialized, which, as we all know, worked. With this revision of Naruto, we can see Kishimoto learning from his previous attempt with Karakuri, and even bringing some of the designs over while using an overall softer art style. In September of 1999, Naruto was finally serialized and quickly rose in fame, with the series ending 15 years later. Kishimoto went through a lot while writing this story. Information given in interviews in the previously mentioned author notes that just give some insight into the experiences that Kishimoto had while writing Naruto. During the run of Naruto, Kishimoto received both Rookie of the Year and the Quill Award for Best Graphic Novel. And when an anime was announced for Naruto, Kishimoto couldn't think of a better person to oversee the character designs than one of his biggest influences, Tetsuya Nishio. If there's one thing to know about Kishimoto, it's that he took his bonds within the industry seriously. Kishimoto considered Eiichiro Oda, the author of One Piece, to be his rival, and when Kishimoto received acknowledgement from him once Naruto ended, he said, "That felt so gratifying," while also praising both the authors of Hunter x Hunter and My Hero Academia, Yoshihiro Togashi and Kohei Horikoshi. Not to mention the fact that Kishimoto was excited by the positive reception of Naruto in America. You heard that right, Kishimoto was glad that we accepted and enjoyed his story. Another fun fact, this was the author's note in volume 39 of Naruto. I have a sensitive stomach. Air conditioning gives me bad runs. Frozen desserts give me bad runs. Milk, even if I drink it slowly, gives me bad runs. Just thinking about bad runs gives me bad runs. And Kishimoto just like me. Anyways, during the creation of Naruto, one of the many problems that Kishimoto experienced was being too philosophical. Now I know that sounds stupid, but hear me out. During the Pain Story arc, Kishimoto began to question the ideas of hatred and revenge. He stated, "From there, what would Naruto do?" He had to go on experiencing what hatred is for the first time. I kind of knew I had stepped into a difficult place, and my editor said to me that maybe I shouldn't dig too deep into that. But I wondered, if I created a story about him going after and beating his hated opponent, what would kids think of that? I wanted to do it right, but I couldn't come up with an answer, so I couldn't sleep. And he mentioned struggling to actually sleep. Kishimoto eventually came to the conclusion that he couldn't solve it, following that up with, in the end, Naruto talked it out and decided to forgive his opponent. So Sasuke is a character who can't forgive, and Naruto is one who can. Even if you know that it will be painful going in that direction, as a writer, you can't just do whatever you want. Once the Pain arc had ended, he was finally able to sleep peacefully again, as he decided that the only thing he could do was move forward. With the final volume of Naruto releasing, this was Kishimoto's final author's note. This is the final volume. Thank you so much for your support these past 15 years. I'd be honored if, in the future, you occasionally recall that there was once a character named Naruto. Well then, please enjoy the conclusion of Naruto. Well before Kishimoto knew that this wasn't quite the end of Naruto's story. Although Naruto was Kishimoto's main focus, it wasn't the only thing he was working on in that 15-year time span. He worked on several other projects, including a one-shot baseball manga, Bench, and a one-shot of his long-postponed Mafia manga, Mario. Coming off of the success of Naruto, however, it was announced that Kishimoto would be involved in the start of a new era project, which was to commemorate both Naruto's conclusion and his 15-year anniversary. Here it was announced that a spin-off miniseries would be released in 2015, that being Naruto, the 7th Hokage and the Scarlet Spring, which led up to the premiere of Boruto Naruto the movie, which Kishimoto co-wrote with Ukyo Kodachi, who has several pieces of work to his name, such as Infinity Force, Queen's Blade Rebellion, and Code Geass Akito the Exiled. Kishimoto had one more piece of work before the infamous Samurai 8, and that was a one-shot, Naruto The Path Lit by the Moon. Come the end of 2015, and Kishimoto would announce that he would be supervising but not writing for the monthly release of the Boruto manga, handing control over to his chief assistant, Mikio Ikemoto, and Ukyo Kodachi. And then it happened. The announcement for Samurai 8, which as drastically different as the sci-fi setting is, it wasn't a huge surprise. In interviews and the author's notes, Kishimoto would talk about his love of sci-fi. So why wouldn't his next series be just that? The author of one of the big three, Kishimoto, working on a sci-fi story, and the brother of the author of Soul Eater, Atsushi Okubo, as the illustrator, it was set up for success. But unfortunately, things didn't quite turn out that way, with Samurai 8 only lasting a year due to failing to find an audience. It went just as fast as it came. This of course wasn't the end for Kishimoto, as he continued to supervise for Boruto. But after 13 volumes, Kodachi would step down, with Kishimoto taking back creative control of the series as of November 21st, 2020. Since then, I'd personally say we've seen a drastic change in the way that the story is being told in Boruto, but that's neither here nor there. Masashi Kishimoto is an artist whose work has touched the lives of many people, both young and old, teaching hard work, perseverance, and the idea to always follow your dreams, while also being an inspiration for up-and-coming mangakas who want to have the same effect on the industry that he had. No matter how you may feel about Naruto as a whole or how it ended, you simply can't deny the influence it's had on the medium. I know it's been a while since my last video, but I wanted to settle down and take my time with each video I make, trying to make it to the level of video in which I would personally want to watch. This one's been in the idea book ever since I reread Naruto, but I just had to get that spark of motivation to finish it out. If you're curious about the life of one of your favorite mangakas, I highly recommend checking out his author's notes in each volume. While they may just be a small snippet into his life, it's interesting to read the changes between 1999 and 2015. If you want to go a little bit further, I highly recommend reading into some of the interviews he's participated in as well, or watching because they are on YouTube. Up next though, I think we might take a deep dive into what I'd call the grandfather of modern mangakas, Akira Toriyama. On that note though, have a great day, and peace.